All right, looks like everybody's in a room. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Carmine Dionisio with Service Leaders Network, and we're here to start our roundtable session with SpeedQueen. I'd like to go ahead and introduce and welcome Jenny McClatchy, if I'm saying that right, and
Got
Tim
it.
Tim Pwitz.
Pits.
Pitts. I always say Pwitz, but sorry, Tim.
That's all right.
Anyway, in consideration of time, I just got to move over some of my cheat sheets here. In consideration of time, we have set questions that have been sent to SpeedQueen, and any special requests, issues, you want to become an authorized service provider, rate negotiation or increase requests, I would please send them to servicerhelp@alliancels.com, and I will go ahead and put that email address in the chat once we start our session. Once the questions have been answered, participants can put the questions to those they could put questions to those answers in the chat, and then when we don't see any more, we'll move on to the next question. Please note that these sessions are being recorded and they will be on demand until November 19th. Please also know that we do have a trade show from 6 to 7, and you can please entertain that and go around and check out all the booths that we have. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start off with a couple of questions here. Tim and Jenny, does your technician assistant staff have the ability to connect with technicians using video chat or any other type of device?
Go ahead, Tim. I'll let you answer that one.
Yes, we do have a device called Tech View. And when a servicer is in the home, if we need to see something, we can, put their phone number in and we can send them a link, and they just tap on a link and allow twice. And then we're able to see through their camera on their phone exactly what they're seeing, so we can help diagnose that way. And it works very well. Use it just about every day.
That's great. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. Next is what kind of technology? Sorry about that. What kind of technology do you have or plan to have that will make product diagnosis more accurate?
Tim, that's you again on the tech support side.
Yeah. our what we have right now is we're going to have parts connection, and that's everything is in there. If you enter your serial number into parts connection, I can share my screen and I can show people how to get to it. So I'm going to take this and see where my screen is right here. Share. I'm assuming everybody can see this now.
Yeah.
So this is our parts connection. If you go into the my.alliancels.net site, this is going to bring up your home page. This is actually my home page. So in the search in this bar here, you can type in, parts connection and hit the search. Again, this is everything I have in mind. Everybody's is going to be a little bit different. And we're going to find the parts connection home models. And we can click on that. And then here we would go in and we can enter a serial number. And then we're going to hit the search here. It's right under other number. It'll tell you in the box, entire serial number. Click on the search. It's going to populate one model number. And we can left click on that model number, and it's going to give you our parts breakdown. This is every part in our machine is going to be this left column. The right column, you got parts on demand manual. You go into related literature, click on that, your warranty bond, installation manual, another parts manual, use and care manual, your troubleshooting manual, again, a couple different, versions, and general production information. You also, if I back up here, so those are all your manuals. The troubleshooting manual will have your error codes. I'll go back to that here real quick. I don't want to burn a lot of time on this, but not that it's not important. And you can go down and you can go to error codes. This one has 2 different types of machines of error codes, the electronic models, and that's going to be serial number through 19129999. So if you click on that, it's going to give you all the error codes up to that serial number. And so all of our error codes are listed there. And if the technician still needs help at this point in time, it's not a great definition of what the error code, it's going to tell you what it is. Like EROP is open thermistor error code. At that point, we ohm out that thermistor to see if it's good. So I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to go back the page. Again, we have a wiring diagram right here. So if they click on it again, you're going to have the 2 choices. It's a 240 volt, and here's your wiring diagram, for that. So a lot of things in this parts connection, use it as though it's your Bible for SpeedQueen. Again, if they have any questions of what points, voltages and everything, we're always available on TechLine to answer any questions that the tech would have.
So Tim, this is really great for the technicians to have in their hands when they're out at a customer's home. Do they have access to this, to the My Alliance, and how do they get access to it?
Yeah, again, they would go to the authorized servicers, have a username and password. If they go to the my.alliancels.net, you can enter your username and password at that. And again, you're going to come back to that same homepage that I had up here. It's going to look like that, except this was my homepage. It was just to log in, so you can put your username, password in there.
Okay, great. And if they need help with that, who should they reach out to? Because this is really critical for technicians to have this in their hands when they're in the home and not calling in a tech line. So who would they contact if they need help signing on, or the admin that manages this needs help?
Yeah, they can contact us here on the tech line, and then we can walk them through it, the first time or whatever.
Okay.
And usually most times, a lot of times the parts lady or gentleman, back that just does parts and everything, they're calling in and I walk them through it once and they say, oh, this is amazing. I waited on hold for 15 minutes and it took you 30 seconds to show me how to get to this.
Great.
So
Great.
where they can look up their own parts and part numbers and, everything like that.
I'm also going to go ahead and cut and paste into the chat a website for the videos. There's a bunch of videos that TechLine has. They're in the Wistia format, just simple things that they have, like checking the lid switch or doing a couple of different things, installing some products. And I just dropped that into the chat for anybody to look at their leisure. So
yeah, that Wistia website's going to cover, like Carmine was saying, it's going to cover videos. I don't exactly, it's a TRs, all the machines, everything that we have up to date now is going to be in there. And we're looking to, down the road here, continue to add videos in there. So if they have anything they need to see or would like to see, obviously get a hold of us here at Alliance Laundry Systems, and we can get that information to them or get a video made, so that we can get that into Wistia to help you out on the road.
That's great. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all the information everybody has given me previous to this. So the next question that I do have is, this should be.
I have a question on on that site.
Okay.
I'm Joe Carlin with Schaefer's Appliance. Is there any email that we can go to contact so we can get each of our technicians a username and a password to get onto there, or are they going to use the general one we all use?
I thought the general admin could add the technician permissions from your side. Have you tried doing that?
No, I have not.
You should be able to add users when you're in My Alliance. If for some reason though, Schaefer's, if you can't, you can send that to the servicer help and we can forward that on to the My Alliance team. The My Alliance team can get in there and add users as well. But typically when you're listed as the general admin or the warranty admin, you should have access to be able to add users at your company for access. But if you have any issues with that, send it to servicer help and then we can get you to the My Alliance team. That's what they're there for, to get your account proper with who you want access to what. So there's different levels. There's tech level, there's, you know, admin for warranty and warranty entries and that sort of thing. Just make sure you put your account number in there so they know who it is and they can certainly help you. I get requests sometimes for, you know, because somebody in the office, right, doesn't always need all of that. It's, you know, the technician in the field that needs it. So, but you should be able to add them. I asked them that question one time and they said that you should be able to go in and add your people. So, but if you have any trouble, just send a note to that servicer help and they will get you over to the My Alliance team, because it's super important that your techs have access to all of the bulletins and videos, all that good stuff.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Next question that came up was, when functional parts are on back order for more than 7 days, what is the policy process to compensate the customer?
So we don't necessarily have a policy at 7 days. There's no policy that I'm aware of that after 7 days, we're going to compensate the customer. And it's something that I kind of reviewed when we got these questions. If it's getting into 3 weeks, 4 weeks back order, then contact WeCare. And we really look at those as a case-by-case basis. There is a way for the tech support team to facilitate an emergency part order. But again, they're reviewed case by case.
Case secondary. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's no policy in place that if it's past 7 days that we do any kind of.
Okay. And then there's the WeCare team, and I'm going to put that 800 number in the chat.
Okay. Yep. I was going to say, you want to put it in the chat. I can read it off, but it's probably better to have it on the chat.
Yeah. So the next thing is, with that, no rentals or loaners are available if they have to go an extended time without laundry.
Yeah, no, SpeedQueen does not offer loaners, rentals, anything like that.
All right. Next question that came up was, what assistance do you offer to obtain a part outside of normal parts distributor? So if there's a original equipment, if there's an OEM part that's located at a non-authorized parts distributor down the road, and you're facing an exchange, or you know, you can't get the part, but they can get that part from the parts supplier down the road, is there any way to go ahead and work with that?
So the unfavorable answer is no.
Okay.
When you go into the claim, when you're filing a claim, it lists specifically you have to pick one of our authorized distributors. And if that distributor is not on the list, you're not going to go anywhere with the claim as far as being reimbursed. So unfortunately, the unfavorable answer would be no.
At some point or another, you think we could kind of entertain that, just to keep a brand, just to protect the brand, protect the customer and the brand, to possibly be able to do that in the future if need be, under special concessions, especially.
Yeah, we don't want to do a lot of concessions, but
Yes.
you know, it's never off the table. All of these questions that we've received today have also copied my boss on. So they're all concerns and they're all questions, and nothing's ever off the table. There just isn't anything at this stage that we're doing that will allow you to go to a non-authorized servicer.
Okay.
Or non-authorized distributor.
And the authorized distributors can be found on SpeedQueen.com. Okay.
Yep.
And actually, I'm going to pop that in the chat here too.
This SpeedQueen.com website, parts near me, and it'll show the whole list of all of our, which there are several. a lot of times I find that servicers are only looking at their go-to distributor. That doesn't mean that you can't then pursue other distributors that are authorized as well.
We have something called MemberNet in our group for our members in particular, and they can go in. If there'd be a possibility to get me a list of all of the parts distributors that you work with. Not everybody works with the same parts distributors. Like I'm
Right.
sure you work with Day Distributing and some of the other ones that are out there. So Reliable, obviously Marcone and Compass. If there's a possibility to get a list, that would be great, because we can then put that out there on our member net and let them know that they're
Super
out there.
easy.
All right,
sure.
perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Another
I'll make
question.
a note to self, distributor list. Because yeah, I think a lot of times people are hung up with, oh, I have to order it from Marcone and that's it. And that's not the case. It just has to be one of our authorized distributors, and we have quite a few.
Okay.
List. Okay. Note to self.
So you touch base a little bit on the claims themselves. So let's talk about the claims. Some of the other questions we had was with the claim rejections. What are the actions a service provider can take to reduce and eliminate rejections? And in reference, there's two parts to that. One is, when filling out the claim and the information, and the other part too is what's the do you have any customer instruct time period for customer instruct, and what do you consider it?
So we do have 60 days from installation. We do cover one customer instruction. But again, it's a hard line on 60 days. So within that first 60-day period, we will cover one customer instruction. So that covers that section of the question. There are some things, so I'll start with our side. There are some things that we're working on today to better improve our pre-screen process. So when the customer's calling into We Care, they've got an issue. We have now 16 associates that are answering the phone. So what we're doing right now is coming up with, almost even by model, what to ask the customer to check. So some checks and balances. So we're working on getting that better in play, so we don't get out to the customer's home and it's a non-manufactured defect. So those are constant conversations that we're having. I actually just went through a bunch of different pre-screen questions yesterday that we can do for you guys to prevent you getting out to the home and it being a customer driven issue and it's not covered under warranty. The second part of that, I would say, as a servicer, when something's not covered under manufacturer warranty, the customer is responsible for that payment. So on the pre-screen phone call in advance, I always say that it's a good idea to let them know if we get out there and it's not a manufacturer's defect in workmanship or part, then you're responsible for payment. I don't know how much that's being done, but I think it's wise because we certainly don't want you to get paid. I mean, we don't want it to be where we're rejecting a claim and you're not going to get paid, and we're not saying you need free service, but we're pretty clear in our warranty bond if it's covered under it's part failure, manufacturer defect, we'll cover it. If anything else, that customer has to pay. So those are some of the things we're working on, the pre-screening it better. If on the pre-call, you're letting them know in advance as well that they could, if it's not a manufacturer's defect, they'll have to pay the servicer directly.
Okay, so it's a good practice to go ahead and even the service provider should screen, let them know what's going on. I mean, they could have a sock stuck in the wheelhouse of the dryer, which happens quite often, and you start pulling clothing out of there. There's
several, common things, and those are some of the things that we're, Tim actually had a training session with our call center that was very thorough and that went over very common things that are happening that are not a manufacturer defect, but we're sending service calls out on. So he's doing continual training with them as well. And it's always a good idea on the servicer's side to let them know that if it's not covered, that they'll need to pay for the call.
Okay, well, we'll definitely reiterate that to the group,
Yeah.
because most of the time the customer will call them direct and they won't even call your call center, just for the simple
Right.
fact of they're self-servicing dealers. So one of the other issues with the customer with the 60 days, you could have a problem with the fabric dispenser about 6 or 8 months down the road. And especially with it being clogged, and the fix for that is to go ahead and start diluting some of that fabric softener, and it's well outside of that period. So
Right.
if we run into these little odd things, that is it still okay for them to customer instruct, if they at least submit the claim, and if the customer refuses to pay, and then they just write in there what's going on with the machine, a full detail of what they checked, would that be something that they would consider paying?
So what we found recently is that we're getting a lot of that, and we're starting to draw a hard line.
Okay.
And so my, again, unfavorable answer would be, you can certainly send it, but really the customer needs to pay. If it's not covered under our warranty, and this is not just SpeedQueen, this is OEM in general. If it's not covered under warranty, the customer is responsible for the payment. I think we've gone, with labor concessions and things like that being super high, I think we're really starting to draw the hard line on that. So no, I would suggest, understanding that is key. But yeah, that pre-call is so important. Whether, the customer called the dealer directly, that they're aware of all those common issues. I just thought about, Tim, it might not be a bad idea for us to share that, with our authorized servicers,
Yes.
to better educate the servicers, as well as some things that they can go through with the customer in advance to roll in the truck. That might be something I'll make a note to myself on that, Carmine.
That's good, Jenny.
Because Tim really put a great presentation together. And it's so helpful, because you're right. So today, 20% of our customers are calling into the service, to our We Care line, and that's only 20%. So the other 80% that are calling the servicer directly, I think it would be good to share that as well. So I'll make a note too.
That's good, because we'd seen where consumers were actually putting soap in that dispenser in the middle, and they were changing that over to putting something on the dispenser that said fabric softener only. Hold on a minute. Jeff has a question here. We'd like to see training on SpeedQueen appliances that helps our internal call taker. They like to get trained. See if you can train them.
Okay, so similar to what I was saying, send the presentation out, Tim, that you'd put together for our call center.
Yeah, and on that, we would have all the ones that I train customer support on, that keep the customer from calling a servicer, that our customer support team can walk them through and check different checks, without getting into the machine or doing voltage checks and stuff like that. Yeah, that can be shared. But just downright training, we're trying to get a training, we're walking through it, a process right now, trying to get training out there for our servicers. We're looking at doing different things, putting an in-house possibly down the road together, getting out to some of these servicer, meetings, out in the public. We got one coming up in February. Don't know if we're going to get into that one yet or not. We're looking to get into that one down in Texas. So yeah, we definitely are trying to get as much training as we possibly can, into the hands of the servicers right now. We're sort of at a position, we're trying to get fully staffed and, just stuff like that. So it's just, yes, it's definitely a main concern of ours to get our
Yeah.
servicers trained.
Your virtual training was helpful during COVID. As we go into fall, will that be on the schedule? So that's, Jeff asked that question.
We don't have any webinars like we were doing set up as of right now. We're looking at more doing the going through and doing reports of what the highest call volume into our tech line is, and doing short videos, you know, of that particular, you know, instance of that issue. And we are going to try to put, like I said, put those short videos together and under 5 minutes that they can quick look at something before they go. And again, that would be placed in Wistia once we get those videos together. But yeah, that's our intentions as of right now, to start getting some of that going. We got a lot of things on the burner right now. You know, we just gotta, you know, work our way through it and get it up the chain and just get it, you know, approved and get something going.
Okay, good. So the one thing I did want to ask, and regarding warranty rates with the key metrics on how you're grading them, I know you're using Service Power, and how are you using Service Power to better the service providers?
So when it comes to metrics in general, it's actually, I was working through it yesterday. We call them KPIs, or key performance indicators. So just because I kind of lined this out yesterday, and yes, Service Power does have some of that information. We can pull it from both systems. So we have a new field service manager that started just a week ago. And so some of the things that we're going to be looking at and in place that we'll communicate to all the servicers is going to be recall rates. Recalls meaning you went out on the same serial number within 30 days. So an example there is we would want to keep that under 8% total. We'll be looking at cost per call. First time completes is in there. And also turn time or cycle time, average time to repair. So from the time you get the service order schedule date to completion date, those are the main KPIs that we're going to be implementing in 2023. And we'll definitely communicate that with everybody. And I think it's something that we haven't done in the past, but something that we need to do.
Okay.
And Service Power will help in some of the reporting. Everybody is kind of a mix right now. Some are using Service Power, some are not yet. So we're going to have to pull from both systems, which we can. But definitely Service Power is a lot easier. It kind of consolidates it into what we ask it to do. So those are all things in 2023 that we're currently working on right now to get them implemented. And as soon as they're all implemented, we'll certainly communicate that for
Great.
sure.
I know from previous communications, it was stressed that we really need to use that Service Power more than the older systems. So if you want to get progress, you got to go and use this. I would suggest that. But
yeah, listen, change is hard. I understand it. Doesn't like something new. One of the things we put together and I sent out is the common quick, how do I log in? How do I set up my profile, zip code coverages? How do I accept a call, reject a call, file a claim? You can still enter in your own claim without getting a dispatch from us in Service Power. And I think that was not understood very well. So there is a way in Service Power that you can enter a new claim, similar to My Alliance, without receiving a dispatch. So we have that training put together, done. I probably will resend it out.
okay.
So yeah, definitely we need to get into Service Power. We need to start using it. I don't have a drop dead date of My Alliance, but eventually it may not be there. So for the claim side of the world.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate your time. And I see that there's no more questions, and we're actually a little over our time slot here.
Oh, yeah, we are. That was
Yeah,
fast.
if you need to reach out to Jenny, please reach out to her through the servicer help at Alliance LS that we put in the chat. And then Tim is part of the tech line there, and you can always reach out to Tim and team. And that's it. If there's any questions in particular, please feel free to go ahead and send Jenny your questions. All right, everybody,
Thank you,
thank you very
everyone.
much for your
Yeah,
time.
thank you, everyone.
Thank
All right.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.